Pat Kavanagh has claimed the 2024 Tewaaraton Trophy along with his national championship. The creative two-handed attackman has changed the game of lacrosse more than most realize. He combined the creative and tough side of the game unlike any player before him. Most people see players who throw behind the backs as flashy or inefficient, but Pat defied both those stereotypes. He rides harder than anyone else in college lacrosse and gets the gritty ground balls. His value of possession spans his creativity, where he'll always take the shot with the largest angle or deception. This all garnered him 80 points this season, the highest tally of his career. Whether from X dodges or behind the back feeds, Kavanagh produced everywhere on the field and elevated his teammates. Many believe that Entenmann deserved the Tewaaraton over Pat this season. Considering his dominance with 195 saves and a 57% rate, there's a strong argument for this. In my opinion, it could have gone either way. The committee most likely valued Pat's 6 points in the final and all the work he does off ball to elevate his team. Pat now makes the jump to PLL, and I'm sure he will do great things. Today I'm going to show what makes Pat Kavanagh so good. Before we go any further, if you learn anything from these film breakdowns and want more, visit glacrosse.com to get your own film analyzed. Your film will be critiqued in the same way we critique the pros and college stars. We also just released our free newsletter on the website where you will receive a lacrosse tip each week. Again, check the link in the description for glacrosse.com for your very own film breakdown and our newsletter. Let's get back to the video. Here's our first clip.
Job late and joined this team, and Napolitano's a guy who waited his turn at Notre Dame behind the back shot.
Mayers attacks the cage, getting a step on his man, drawing adjacent help. This leaves Chris without a defender on the backside as he receives this ball. Instantly, both the Kavanaghs understand this and utilize space beautifully. Chris attacks upfield, drawing Pat's man downwards to help. Understanding this, Pat cuts to the middle, increasing his angle on the cage. Pat receives this ball in the heart of the defense and barely has a second to release this ball. He throws a BTB here for two reasons. The first obvious one is that he's losing angle on the cage as he continues to cut across. The second is that his shot would most likely be altered by the pressure in front of him. So to get free hands, he releases behind himself. Here's our next clip.
51 might look to dodge. Look at the attention he draws. Tried to squeeze it inside, that was a force. You see all of the pressure inside by Kevin Warren's defense though. Oh, and the turnover though. This is when they're at their most dangerous.
Pat adjusts himself to the dead center of the field on this D-mid. He knows he has a matchup and that a slide will be sent extremely quickly. Knowing this, whenever a D-mid is on Pat, generally it means he's going to feed the ball instead of going to the cage because the slide will leave someone open. Pat is dancing up top and trying to draw a slide to feed inside to McLean, but he throws a bad pass into triple coverage, which would normally result in a bad turnover. Yet Kavanagh does not give up easily. He focuses on the next play. He starts hacking at the ball carrier and is able to get a cause turnover. Watch how once he picks this ball up, his head is straight up. The ball moves faster than your feet, and 9 times out of 10, after a chaotic ground ball, someone will be open. Pat's patience here is amazing. He's under pressure at first, so he doesn't throw the ball at the first open man. He sees that defenders are slacking off on the backside, and he dishes to his brother at the last second for the finish. Here's our next clip.
Pat comes off a pick, has a little bit of room, shoots, and scores!
Pat attacks from X against Banks. The key here is the patience in the dodge. By slowly progressing forward without making a move, he's adjusting Banks so he's level with the pick. Right when the pick and Banks are level is when Pat cuts. This leaves Banks no room to get under the pick. The off-ball D-mid, who is playing the pick man, is now coming firing across on the coma slide. Pat knows if he beats his man, pressure is going to come, so his head is up to either feed or adjust his dodge. As Pat reaches above goal line extended, he takes a jab step to the inside, baiting the slide and then cuts back out. By jabbing in, he was able to fool the slide into thinking he was going to cut to the inside. In reality, he finds the open space upfield and attacks it. He isn't in a rush to shoot this ball either. He stops his feet and focuses on getting his hips fully around to get the most power and angle on the shot. Here's our next clip.
Kavanagh on Banks. Uses a pick. Now Hess checking Kavanagh. So Kavanagh's going to want to take advantage of this. You can see the help coming, but he gets to his right and scores.
Pat attacks downfield towards his pick. He is easily able to get his defender to switch, giving him the short stick matchup. Once he knows he's the matchup, he slows down and assesses the field. He understands a slide is instantly coming, so he wants to know where it'll be from. Kavanagh dances around with no intention of fully beating his man. He's moving towards the middle of the field, and watch how antsy the crease defender is. Once he gets a small step on his man, the slide is fired. As Pat sees this, he instantly rolls back to the middle of the field. Now that the slide has been sent, he can dodge the D-mid to the top side and no help will come. He attacks this middle of the field and releases a beautiful shot to the bottom right. Here's our next clip.
Piles give it right back. Here comes Pat Kavanagh leading the charge. Finds his brother.
Ramsey intercepts this pass in the clear, and both the Kavanaghs understand that the first priority is to get back down the field before their defenders do. Pat catches this ball in stride and is full angle for a high percentage shot, but he doesn't get tunnel vision like most players. He takes a glance back and sees his brother cutting down the field. He turns his head back to the cage and it looks like he's going to shoot, and then all of a sudden he passes back to Chris for the finish. By not passing on his initial glance back, he could wait a second longer and draw the defender, leaving Chris wide open. Here's our next clip.
Got 10 to shoot for Kavanagh. Question mark, bounces it, and it's in.
Clips like this make me feel bad for defenders. There isn't much you can do against a dodge like this. Pat lines up Banks at X and utilizes some jump shuffles to move Banks right behind the cage. His goal is to get Banks tied up on the back of the cage as he dodges. Banks does a good job of staying with him as they climb above GLE. Pat knows he isn't going to beat Banks in a foot race, but he can use leverage to his advantage. When Banks drives him out, he has a sliver of open hands. Using this momentum, Pat question marks away from the cage and scores. With so little angle and leverage in this position, the bouncer is so mandatory because he needs some deception on this shot. Here's our last clip.
Kavanagh, he can attack from anywhere. He's comfortable up top. Turbines away from his defender. Shoots on the run and scores. That's 2 for Pat Kavanagh.
Pat dodges up top, showing his versatility on the field. He attacks the top side and rolls back down the alley. He gets a pretty heavy step on his man, but no one seems to slide. Why? The reason is his body language. Once he gets to the step, he stutters for a second, completely freezing the slide. Once he sees the hesitation, he barrels down the alley and lets one rip onto the cage. Pat is extremely deserving of the Tewaaraton after this 2024 season. I can't wait to watch him this summer in the PLL, and I'm sure he'll do great things. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the newsletter down below and like this video.